everyone, it's Karen, and on this episode, it'll be the wrap up and finish of the photography channel, because again, I kind of just did two big bundle groups of them, so there was only two of them in this episode again. So this one, the first one was going over the birth of like photography, and now this is gonna be like the timeline and birth of cameras. So, because you can't have photography without camera. Honestly, I probably should have done the cameras first and then photography, but I wanted to explain what photography was first before I actually oh, well, you gotta have a camera for photography. So, either way, it would have worked. But again, so let's dive into this whole book, shall we? Okay, so the first thing is first, I am going to explain a little bit about the first camera. So, first camera is commonly thought as of the first camera. Camera obscure is thought as the first camera. And proceeders to film cameras. Camera obscures is Latin for dark room. I never got to do a dark room, and I'm so jealous of everybody who got to do one. I want to do a dark room. So if you know how to do a dark room, you want to be my friend. Or if you are my friend and you don't, you have these skills and you ain't showing me. You need to, let your friend know. Because I think it's so cool. I've always wanted to do it. My art teacher in school, we didn't have that in high school. But she got to do it, and we tried to do it, but she wouldn't let me because I was kind of the little bit of the accident-prone child, accidentally hurting myself a lot in art class. So she didn't want me to smell the chemicals and stuff. She's like, just go away. Go do something else. Go draw, because you can't hurt yourself with a pencil and paper, or Sharpie, because normally I like Sharpies a lot, or chalk pastel. I really like that. So pencil, chalk pastel, eraser, and paper. That's all I needed to entertain myself. So the darkroom is a natural phenomenon that projects an image through a small hole or lens. Since this effect can be obscured in natural circumstances, it has been traced back as far as circa 400 BC. If you're wondering when the first camera was invented, many people point to Ibn al-Haytham, who invented the first pinhole camera box around 900 to 1000 AD. However, the first instance of people using a man-made object to produce a portable camera obscure effect has been traced back to around 1550. During this time, the camera obscure was used as drawing aid, and optics were studied by famous thinkers, including Leonardo da Vinci and Rene Descartes. I don't know. Probably murdered that name. In fact, the term photography was coined to meaning drawing with light, which I'd already mentioned the last episode. So, if you're on this episode, we ahead of the game, right? Then in 1685, during the time, Zahan invented the first ever portable camera made for photography. However, it took over 100 years before a pinhole camera obscure effect produced the first permanent photograph. In 1826, Joseph Niepce used a sliding wooden box camera to manipulate the camera obscure phenomenon to expose pewter coated with bitumen for 8 hours. Then in 1834, Henry Fox Talbot discovered fixed image to paper using a combination of optics and chemistry. This made it possible to make multiple print negatives for the first time. Camera obscures use of light to expose contrasting images, control of light using a pinpoint lens, and study the optants in general would all influence later photography technologies that are more familiar, including the daguerreotypes and celluloid film. The dagger camera, early photography. So I kind of already mentioned a little bit of this stuff previously. So for some of you, this is going to be a refresher. For the ones just tuning in, this is not a refresher. So again, if you've already seen this, just keep listening and just listen. I know you've heard it, but play along. After the first permanent photos in the early 1800s, photography developed even further in 1839 with the invention of metal plate processes called daguerreotype by Louis Daguerre. This format uses a copper plate coated with silver chloride that must be synthesized in iodine and developed with using hot mercury. Honestly, I feel like if my teacher would have had this, she would have definitely told me to not touch anything. Karen, you're going to hurt yourself with hot mercury. And I'd be like, well, at least I'm part of a planet now. I'm telling you, my teachers, I don't see how they dealt with me and my smart mouth. I can't deal with me and my smart mouth sometimes. While that sounds complicated, but by today's standards, it revolutionized photography of the era with a more effective approach. The first photographic camera that was ever developed for commercial manufacturing was a mirrorless daguerreotype camera called the GIROUX. Because again, I'm not trying to talk and pronounce words that I can't. I'll just spell them out. You don't like it? Oh well. That had a rear box with a removable glass screen that could be used to adjust the focus. When the copper plate was inserted, the photographer opened the cover to expose it to the light to produce an image. This required several minutes to a half an hour. However, later daguerreotype cameras, as well as competing cataract cameras, used new lens designs, improved the chemical processes, and made other advances to reduce the exposure time to only a few seconds. One of the most important inventions of the 19th century era of camera was the use of a concave mirror instead of a lens. Inside a daguerreotype, the 1839 Alexander Woollcott invented the mirror lens of the first U.S. patent in photography. This meant faster exposure of only around 5 minutes. This period of daguerreotype cameras was the beginning of many of the foundations of modern film photography, including the use of chemicals for developing mirrors, modern lens type, and more. This paved the first way for the first motion movie camera and multi-exposure roll films cameras. Roll film. Multi-exposure. In 1888 in Rochester, New York, George Eastman created the first camera that used a single roll of celluloid film called the Kodak. The original Kodak camera would capture negatives in fractions of a second, significantly faster than older inventions. In history of the camera, the film would be sent to Eastman's Kodak for development and was marketed as a point and shoot option. The original Kodak camera was so popular that the camera became one of the largest American companies, which helped them continue to innovate new camera options, including the historical Kodak Brownie in 1900s. The Brownie model was inexpensive and was the first time in history of photography that an option was available to most middle-class families. That meant more people than ever before could capture weddings, parties, and family reunions. Some of the inventions during this period would propel the evolution of the camera forward, including multi-exposure on the small roll camera and a handheld point-and-shoot camera design, and the easy done-for-you for photo process. 35mm films, portable and versatile. The next milestone for photograph film came in 1934 when Kodak introduced the 135 film. This film was 35mm wide and made it possible to use the same size and type of film in cameras of any brand. Plus, the camera operator would only have to place the film canister into the film, wind it, and then would automatically adjust as each photo was taken. I like that. Just pop it in and go. Then when the roll was finished, the photographer could open it without risking overexposure to the light-sensitive film. While 35 millimeters, whatever, film was first invented by Kodak, the Leslie Loud's camera brand led by Oscar Barnett would introduce many features that come standard on camera today. The Leica one was created in 1930 and offered the ability to change out the lenses. Later, Leica models would introduce the modern viewfinder, rangefinder, and the 1/100th of a second shutter speed. In the 1950s came the first Fujifilm twin lens relaxed camera TLR, as well as the first lens reflex SLR. Cameras with the instant return mirrors, including the Nikon F35mm SRL, complete with an entire array of lenses, motor drive, strap, and other accessories. Not long after the inventor of the SRL camera, Thomas Sutton, would create the first color photograph in 1961. The portable design and ease of use for these cameras inventions made photojournalism much more widespread. These inventions led to the development of photo-heavy Life magazines in 1936 and would remain the standard for almost 80 years. If you still have vintage 35mm negative or slides tucked away, preserve those timeless memories by digitalizing them. Our 35mm negative to digital service transforms your cherished negatives into high-resolution digital films. So make sure that you try to go find somebody to get those taken care of, because those are memories. You want to remember them. Similarly is if you have classic slides, our 35mm to digital solution ensures that every detail is captured in crisp digital quality for future generations. The Polaroid camera instant gratification. By this time, we've come a long way from the 30-minute daguerreotype exposure times. It only goes faster with the invention of instant cameras. In 1948, Edwin Land invented the instant camera and found the Polaroid Corporation, which controlled the instant photography market. Polaroid cameras work by tapping the film negative to the film positive using silver halidine illumination. The user would peel the two pieces and discard the negative. Later versions of Polaroid would complete this process on their own. These instant Polaroid cameras were very popular throughout the 1970s and 1980s and into the 1990s. From many, the icon white frame Polaroid photo and the thrill of seeing your image developed in seconds are pure nostalgia. If you still have stacks of Polaroid prints, our photo digitalized service make it easy to convert them into digital keepsakes. Instant cameras make sharp physical photos effortless as family gatherings, and our photo album scanning services ensures those instant memories are preserved in high quality digital format for years to come. Was their little slogans they had. Digital camera, the digital revolution. Early digital photograph used a charge coupled device, the CCD, that was developed in 1969. By 1975, the first digital camera working prototype was created by a Kodak engineer named Steven Sasson. However, this original digital camera was inconvenienced with a resolution of 0.01 megapixels and a 23-second exposure time. The first commercial availability digital camera was created by Logitech and released as the Dicam Model 1 in 1990. It used similar CCD technology but recorded the data onto an internal memory, which made it possible to connect your personal computer for viewing, downloading, and printing. In addition, digital manipulation softwares was also released in early 1900s, which means that you could process, manipulate, edit, and enhance digital photos at home. Japanese manufacturer, the Nikon and the Canon, soon recognized the market with digital single lens reflex DSLR cameras, joined by inventors such as Fuji and Sony. Talked about Sony on previous episodes. Go check that out real quick. They made video games too, if you don't know that. These cameras offered higher resolution, interchangeable lenses, and advanced control, and they remain industry leads today. If you have a collection of digital photos and stored on memory cards, our SD card transfer service makes it simple to back them up and preserve them for years to come. Mirrorless and modern DSLR evolution. By the mid-2000s, camera makers began shrinking bulky DSLRs into silkier, lighter, mirrorless models, ushering a new era of professional quality photography. Without the HEIF in 2008, Sony's NEX3 became the first mass-market mirrorless interchangeable lens camera, followed by Canon's EOS M 2012 and Nikon's N Series 2018. These systems combined DSLR level image sensors with electronic viewfinders, faster autofocus, and advanced video capabilities, all in bodies small enough to slip into a coat pocket. Today's mirrorless cameras pushed boundaries with 8K videos, AI subject tracking, and ultra-high ISO performance, making them to-go choice for emphasis and pros alike. Smartphone cameras. The camera is your pocket. There's one final type of camera left, and it's the one most people use the most often these days, the camera phone. The first cell phone to offer a camera was I haven't even heard of this brand. KYOCERA VP2110. Okay, 210. Which was developed in 1999. The 2-inch screen allowed you to view photos instantly, but it wasn't until the invention of smartphones the mobile photography truly took off. When the first Apple iPhone was released, you could send and receive digital photos easily between devices. These early iPhone models use complementary metal oxide semiconductors, CMOS chips to replace the earlier CCD technology. Modern devices now pack multiple lenses, computer photography, algorithm, and AI powered editing into devices that fit in your pocket. In 2024, over 1 trillion photos were captured on smartphones worldwide, dwarfing all the camera formats combined, and more than 90% of the images are shared instantly via social media apps. This shift underscores why nearly everyone today considers their phone to be their primary cameras. Lots of people have no use for standard digital cameras anymore because the quality of modern smartphones is so sufficient. However, a digital camera does offer nostalgia as well as an easier ability to shoot action shots, low light settings, and more. While we can only guess the feature of the evolution of the camera, automatic camera with artificial intelligence, automatic photo editing, facial recognitions, and more will continue to take the history of camera into new territories. The next chapter is your photo evolution. The camera obscura was the beginning of the evolution of the camera, but since then there have been significant milestones, including the daguerreotype that allows for permanent receptacle photographs and 35mm films and portable cameras that made home cameras more accessible and easier to use. In the modern age, digital cameras and the smartphone cameras have taken over as the most popular and widely used types of cameras available. Each of these milestones made it easier for families to capture important events like birthdays, weddings, graduations, births, and all type of memorable days. Still, lots of families still have these precious memories captured on film that can degrade over time. Captured photo scanning services in Boston can update them to digital format to ensure your historical photos moments are preserved for the future generations to share and enjoy. Let's transform your printed photos into digital keepsakes. Get started today. So that's just a little bit, like I said, a timeline and about cameras and everything like that. So I really hope that you had enjoyed and learned something between these two episodes. Thank you for joining, and I will catch you on my next episode. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.